On the top floor of a sleek glass tower in the heart of Manhattan, Madison Walker, founder and CEO of Walker and Blake Motors, sat silently behind a large walnut desk, the soft light reflecting off neatly stacked documents. The young woman, brown-skinned and sharp-eyed, had once made the entire luxury auto industry stop and take notice, not just for her brilliance, but for her bold defiance of a world traditionally dominated by white men. Madison built Walker and Blake from the ground up. Her philosophy was clear. Luxury cars aren't just for the privileged. Anyone, with the drive and the means, deserves the right to experience excellence, no matter their skin color or where they come from. And that belief had turned her brand into a bold, rising force in the high-end automobile world. But today, Madison was holding a letter that shook her to the core. "My name is David Brown, a businessman who's admired your brand since day one. But when I visited your Walker and Blake showroom in Beverly Hills to see the car I've dreamed of for years, I wasn't welcomed. Despite dressing professionally and being financially qualified, I was ignored, redirected to the lower-end models. While white customers who arrived after me were offered champagne and promptly shown the premium vehicles I had inquired about. I can't believe a brand like Walker and Blake would allow something like this to happen." Madison read the letter again, word for word. Her chest tightened. She had faced many challenges before, but never had she felt this kind of disappointment. Not because her trust was being betrayed, the trust she had placed in her team and in the values she'd built over more than a decade. She picked up the phone and called her personal assistant, Daniel. "I need to fly to Los Angeles, the earliest flight." "What's going on, Madison? Should I alert the press or prepare a statement?" "No. No one can know about this. I'm going as a regular customer. I need to see it for myself. No press, no official meetings." She wanted silence on the outside, but inside, a storm was rising. She walked to the shelf and took down an old photo. One where she stood proudly in front of her very first factory, back when she had just 10 employees and a few display cars. Her eyes in that photo were fierce, and today that same fire returned. "Fairness isn't a slogan you hang on a wall," she whispered to herself. "Fairness must live in every word, every action, and every look you give your customers." The next day, a brown-skinned woman in plain jeans, a white shirt, and sneakers stepped out of a rental car at LAX. No one recognized her as Madison Walker, one of the most powerful women in the American auto industry. She was walking into a silent battle, one that might shake the entire industry to its core. Golden California sunlight spilled over the polished stone streets of Beverly Hills. This vibrant district was home to the world's most prestigious brands, from fashion and watches to supercars. The Walker and Blake showroom stood right on Rodeo Drive, its crystal-clear glass exterior gleaming with Hollywood elegance. Madison walked slowly along the sidewalk, her fingers gripping the strap of a soft leather crossbody bag. Her white sneakers were slightly worn. Her crisp white button-up shirt was neatly tucked in and buttoned to the collar. No perfume, no designer sunglasses. She had intentionally chosen a look so unassuming no one could guess who she truly was. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the heavy glass door and stepped inside. It was another world. Cool air, the faint scent of leather and freshly roasted coffee. The cars were positioned like pieces of art across the spacious showroom. McLarens, Bentleys, and, in a soft-lit enclosure behind frosted glass, the Bugatti Chiron Supersport, the crown jewel of the brand. Madison approached the reception desk and offered a polite smile. "Hi, I'd like to see the Chiron Supersport." The woman behind the desk glanced briefly at Madison's modest outfit before replying with a flat tone, "Please wait here. I'll call the manager." A few minutes later, a man appeared, salt and pepper hair, dark navy suit, thin tie. Thomas, the showroom manager. Madison recognized him instantly from the corporate roster. "Hello, I'm Thomas. You asked to see the Chiron." "Yes, if that's possible," she replied. Thomas looked her up and down. His gaze wasn't subtle. It was layered with doubt, judgment, and something worse, dismissal. "I'm afraid that model isn't available for viewing today. It's been reserved for a private VIP appointment." Madison glanced toward the car. The Bugatti was still there. No ropes, no signage, nothing to indicate it wasn't available. She didn't argue, just nodded calmly. "Thank you. I'll sit and look through some other models." Thomas gave a quick shrug and turned away. Madison took a seat in the corner, perfect for observing the entire showroom without drawing attention. And then, just minutes later, a couple walked in. The man wore a Ralph Lauren polo, his hair neatly silvered. The woman wore oversized Chanel sunglasses and a glowing pearl necklace. They were greeted warmly. A young associate brought out glasses of chilled white wine, handed them a thick brochure, and yes, escorted them directly to the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. They were invited to open the door, sit inside, and listen as the features were enthusiastically explained. Madison watched every gesture, every expression. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't random. This was a system. She kept watching. An Asian father and son were steered toward the mid-range section. A well-dressed black woman asked about a Bentley and was shown only the entry-level SUV. Meanwhile, white customers, whether casually or sharply dressed, were all met with smiles, drinks, and guided exactly to the car they had asked for. Madison leaned back in her chair. Each passing minute tightened something inside her. This wasn't an accident. This was an unspoken rule. And if she, the founder of this very brand, was denied the right to view a car she technically owned, how many others out there had been denied that same opportunity simply because of the color of their skin? She closed her eyes. The truth was clear, and she had no intention of letting it fade away into another sad email in her inbox. While the showroom continued to hum with its carefully curated air of selective luxury, Madison remained seated, eyes fixed, catching every detail. She didn't need more evidence. What she was looking for now was a sliver of hope, and then she saw her. A young associate with auburn hair tied neatly back, dressed in a light beige blazer, tablet in hand, carefully reviewing the task assignments on her screen. The name on her badge, Olivia Torres. Unlike the other staff, who moved like polished performers, fluent in a choreography that seemed designed to judge customers at a glance, Olivia stood out. There was something different in her eyes, a kind of disconnect. Now and then, Madison saw her glance toward the customers who were waiting but not being served. In those brief looks, there was hesitation, even guilt. And then it happened. A well-dressed black woman in her early 50s walked into the showroom with a warm smile. She approached Olivia gently and pointed toward a black Bentley Continental displayed near the glass wall. "May I take a look at this model, dear?" she asked. Olivia blinked in surprise, then nodded. She began walking toward the car, already raising her tablet to pull up the specifications and schedule. But before she could take 3 steps, a cold voice cut through the air. "Olivia, over here a moment." Thomas, showroom manager, had appeared silently. His face wasn't harsh, but his eyes carried a quiet warning. "There's a customer in the accessories section to the left. Handle that for me." Olivia froze for half a second. She cast a quick glance toward the woman still waiting, her kind smile unchanged, though her eyes slightly dimmed as she saw Olivia being redirected. Olivia swallowed hard. In that fleeting moment, so brief it could be missed, Madison saw her grip tighten around the tablet, and then Olivia nodded. "Of course. I'll take care of it." She turned and walked away, but her steps were heavy. Madison had watched the entire exchange from across the room. Her chest ached, but in her eyes a quiet fire sparked to life. This was it. The first sign of a conscience still awake within a machine that had gone numb. Olivia was likely under pressure, bound by unspoken rules, controlled by silent expectations from the top. But she wasn't okay with it. It was written all over her, and sometimes all it takes is one person willing to feel wrong, willing to question, willing to carry that discomfort. That alone can be enough to change everything. Madison tilted her head slightly and quietly etched the name Olivia Torres into her memory. The heavy glass door shut behind her. The golden California sun cast scattered streaks of light across the polished sidewalks of Beverly Hills. Madison Walker walked slowly, The breeze tugged gently at her hair, but her heart felt heavy. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Everything was now crystal clear. A refined system of discrimination operating like a well-oiled, soulless machine. But she no longer felt shocked or disappointed. What she felt now was clarity, determination. She pulled out her phone and quickly dialed a familiar number. After 3 rings, a deep, steady voice answered. "Marcus here." Madison didn't waste time. "I just left the Beverly Hills showroom." There was a pause on the other end. Marcus understood, but he waited. They did exactly what David Williams described in his letter, and worse. It's systematic, repetitive, and surrounded by silent witnesses. "Did you see Richard Langford?" Marcus asked, his voice more somber. "No, but the manager. Thomas. He's a perfect replica of the kind of discrimination that hides behind a tailored suit and a polite smile." She paused, eyes gazing back toward the showroom from across the street, as if she could still feel the watchful eyes behind the glass. Then her voice dropped lower, firmer. "I need proof. Clear. Undeniable." Marcus was already ready. "You want to film them?" "Not just film." Madison gripped the phone tighter. "I want hidden cameras covering the entire showroom tomorrow, all day. Clear audio, full visibility. I want to see who's offered champagne, who gets real service, and who gets ignored." Marcus jotted down notes, his tone sharpening. Madison continued, "And one more thing." Her voice slowed, now icy. "Find me someone I can trust. Male, white, well-dressed. He'll play the role of a potential buyer. You want him to go into the showroom, yes, at the exact same time as a black customer, dressed similarly, just as polite. I want to see, clearly, how differently they're treated. Right there, in real time." Marcus paused for a beat, then replied with certainty. "I know the right person. I'll handle the rest." "Thank you." Madison hung up. She tilted her head upward, eyes fixed on the sky now turning amber, the last light of day stretching over the cold, gleaming boulevard behind her. The real fight had only just begun. The next morning, gentle early sunlight fell across the front of the Walker and Blake showroom in Beverly Hills, a place once considered the epitome of refinement and prestige. But today, its polished image was just a fragile veneer, because the truth was about to come into the light. From a sleek black car parked roughly 100 meters from the showroom, David Reeves, Madison's longtime friend, stepped out. Tall, refined, dressed in a navy blazer, crisp white shirt, and gleaming leather shoes, his hair neatly styled, he looked every bit the affluent businessman, ready to buy his 5th luxury car. Across the street, in an unassuming vehicle parked discreetly, the surveillance team got to work. Cameras from 3 angles began to roll. A discreet microphone, hidden in the button of David's shirt, was already recording. The experiment had begun. Inside the showroom. As David pushed open the glass doors, the energy inside the showroom shifted instantly. Thomas, the showroom manager, was mid-conversation with an associate. But the moment he caught sight of David, his demeanor changed completely. His eyes lit up, his posture straightened, a welcoming smile spread across his face. "Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to have you at Walker and Blake today." "Thank you," David replied casually. "I'm interested in the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. Is it available to view?" Thomas didn't hesitate. In fact, he looked downright thrilled. "Of course, sir. We have one on display just past the lounge. Right this way." The glass doors slid open, revealing a spotlighted masterpiece. There it was. The very car Madison had been denied viewing the day before. The Bugatti Chiron Supersport. A symbol of speed, luxury, and bias. David played his part perfectly, asking a few technical questions with a convincing curiosity. Thomas answered in full detail, warm and eager. He even offered David a glass of chilled white wine and handed him a premium brochure, specially printed for VIP clientele. Every word, every gesture, every subtle cue was captured. No angle missed, no truth hidden. Outside the showroom, Madison sat in the parked car across the street, hands clenched lightly around the steering wheel as she watched from afar. Everything was happening exactly as she had predicted, and yet it still hurt. Not because it was shocking, but because being quietly dismissed, simply for her skin color and simple clothing, felt like a cold, silent slap. The cameras were now recording history. 20 minutes later, David exited the showroom with casual confidence. He shot a discreet glance toward Madison's car, then pulled out his phone and sent a single message. "Done, everything's crystal clear." Madison looked at the screen, her face went still. But her eyes, no longer those of someone hurt, they were the eyes of someone ready to strike back. The real battle was only just beginning. That afternoon, on the 46th floor of Walker & Blake Motors' Manhattan headquarters, Jonathan Price, one of the most senior and influential members of the board, was checking his personal inbox. An email from Madison Walker caught his eye. The subject line was simple, cold, direct. "Jonathan, I need you to watch this, immediately." There was no explanation, no preamble, just a single video link. Jonathan clicked, the screen lit up, and within minutes he was pulled into a world he could barely believe existed. Inside his own company. In the footage, a white man, David Reeves, walks into the Beverly Hills showroom. Manager Thomas greets him with enthusiasm, offers wine, and personally shows him the showroom's crown jewel, the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. The day before, a woman of color, Madison herself, was told that same car was not available for viewing. The video was crisp. Audio was crystal clear. Every word, every loaded glance, every fake smile offered only to the right kind of customer. Jonathan gripped the armrest of his chair. His usually calm expression began to darken. He had been by Madison's side since the earliest days of Walker & Blake, had watched her battle relentlessly to turn the brand into a global icon. But what he had just witnessed, it was a slap in the face to everything the company claimed to stand for. His phone rang. It was Madison. Her voice was sharp, steady, no tremble, no hesitation. "Jonathan, I'm not letting this slide as some minor incident. I want an emergency board meeting, and I want it before the media gets involved." Jonathan's tone matched hers, low, resolute. "I'll make it happen. And thank you for coming to me directly." Madison didn't respond. She hung up. Quick, decisive. No emotion wasted. At that very moment, corporate PR department. Another email appeared in the public relations inbox. Sender, Rachel Kessler, independent journalist. Subject, inquiry regarding discriminatory practices at Beverly Hills showroom. Message, I've received credible information regarding alleged discrimination against black customers at the Walker & Blake showroom in Beverly Hills, specifically regarding being denied access to high-end models. Does the company have an official response before this story is published? No attachments, no photos, just bait. And it was already enough to rattle the communications team. Inside Madison's office, she closed her laptop. 2 strikes launched, one internal, one external. One hand rested on a thick file marked Beverly Hills Showroom Personnel Records. The other held a still warm cup of coffee. In the fading evening light, Madison whispered, "Not to anyone, just to herself." A vow more than a thought. "If justice doesn't exist in this system, then I'll rebuild it myself." The next morning, the air inside the Beverly Hills showroom felt heavier. Outside, the show continued. Polished smiles, smooth sales pitches, and the soft pop of champagne bottles. But inside, in the small manager's office tucked behind the car display area, a storm was quietly brewing. Thomas, the showroom manager, stood at the window, staring out over the lot. In his hand was a printed copy of an anonymous press inquiry that had been sent to corporate. His face flushed, not with embarrassment, but with rage and suspicion. His eyes scanned the reception area, then locked onto a young woman rearranging brochures at the front desk. Olivia Torres. "Olivia, step into my office." His voice wasn't loud, but it was heavy, loaded. inside the manager's office. The door closed. No one outside could hear what was said. Olivia sat down in front of the desk. Her hands rested in her lap, palms slick with sweat. Thomas stood with arms crossed, gaze drilling into her. "You got anything you want to tell me?" Olivia looked up, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm not sure what you're referring to." "Don't play innocent." Thomas tossed the printed email onto the desk. "Someone filmed what happened in the showroom yesterday, and somehow the press got the exact details." Silence. He stepped closer, leaned in, voice dropping low, sharp as a blade. "I know you're still new here. Maybe you don't get how we do things yet. But if you think you can sneak recordings out of this place without anyone noticing, you really don't know who you're dealing with." Olivia pressed her lips together. She knew one slip-up would give him exactly what he needed to accuse her, and she also knew he had no proof. So she held her gaze. "I don't know anything about a video. I'm just doing my job." Thomas narrowed his eyes. A few seconds passed. Then he leaned back, gave a cold, dismissive smile. "Let's hope that's true. Because if it's not, this seat you're in, it might not be yours much longer." Outside, in the staff break room, the moment Olivia stepped out of the office, she pulled out her phone. Her fingers trembled slightly as she tapped a familiar number. The line rang once, twice. "I'm here," Madison's voice came through, calm, sharp. Olivia whispered, barely audible. "Thomas just pulled me in. He's suspicious. I didn't say anything, but he's starting to dig." There was a pause, then Madison replied, low and firm, "You've done well. Stay calm. The rest is mine to handle." The air was tightening. Thomas had no hard evidence, but he could feel the leak. And Madison knew time was running out. She would need to strike next, before Thomas even knew where the real blow was coming from. Dusk had fallen. Streetlights cast a soft yellow glow on the damp concrete sidewalks of Beverly Hills. In the quiet corner of a small cafe tucked between boutique-lined streets, two women sat across from each other. One was a powerful CEO, the other a frontline employee caught in a quiet war with her own conscience. No one in the cafe recognized them, and that's exactly how they wanted it. Madison sat by the window. Her tea sat half full. She wore the same simple outfit from her undercover visit. No makeup, no jewelry, no branded logos. Olivia Torres entered, wearing a beige coat, her shoulders slightly tense. Her eyes scanned the room before meeting Madison's. Madison nodded gently, motioning to the seat across from her. No small talk. They got straight to what mattered. "Thank you for coming," Madison began. "I know this wasn't an easy decision." Olivia bit her lip, eyes drifting to her hands on the table. There was a pause, long and quiet, before she finally whispered, "I don't know why I came. But I knew if I didn't do something, I'd never stop feeling awful about it." Madison nodded slowly. She didn't push. She listened. Olivia began to speak. Her voice was soft, but every word landed clear in the still air of the cafe. "You know what's worse? They don't need a sign that says, 'Discrimination, welcome.' Everything is done so professionally. So invisibly." She glanced toward Madison. "We were trained to read customers within the first minute. But what that really means is we judge people by their clothes, their skin, their watch." Madison stayed silent, absorbing every detail. Thomas never says it out loud, but we all know what he expects. If I spend too much time with someone he sees as not worth it, I get warned. And if I keep doing it, I get fewer shifts. Or worse, I'm replaced. Last week, I tried helping a black woman who came in nicely dressed. As soon as I stepped toward the consultation counter, Thomas gave me a look and redirected me to the wheel display. Olivia exhaled. Her eyes wandered to the window, where headlights glided past the frosted glass. "I hate myself for standing by, for doing nothing. But if I speak up, I lose my job. I lose everything." A defining moment. Madison gently clenched her hand, then slid a small business card across the table. It had no logo, just a name, a phone number, and one line. "If you're ready to speak up, call me." She said nothing else, but Olivia understood everything. After a quiet moment, Madison asked the only question that truly mattered tonight. If the moment comes, would you be willing to tell the truth? Olivia froze. She didn't answer right away. She looked at the card, then at Madison. I don't know. I'm still scared. Madison nodded, not disappointed, because she understood. Courage doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, through every quiet battle inside a person's heart. Olivia left without another word, the business card still clutched in her hand. Madison didn't stop her. She didn't press her. She simply watched her go. This young woman who might one day become the catalyst for changing an entire system. And though she hadn't received a final answer tonight, Olivia's eyes had already said enough. The morning at the Beverly Hills showroom felt different. The air was heavier than usual, thick with the sense that something was coming. Sunlight streamed down through the glass ceiling, casting soft reflections on polished supercars, but no light could cut through the tension spreading across the floor. In a small meeting room tucked behind the showroom, Thomasine, the senior manager, walked in with a face like stone. The department heads were already seated around the table, silent, waiting. No one knew exactly what was going on, but everyone felt the storm brewing. Thomas slapped a folder lightly onto the table. "I'll keep this short," he said. "From this moment on, any email, message, or note that refers to customer potential, delete it. All of it." The room stayed quiet. "I want everyone to go into their inboxes. Search for terms like customer tiering, priority clientele, test drive restrictions. Delete them permanently." One young manager hesitated and asked, Is something happening? Are we being investigated?" Thomas didn't answer, but the look in his eyes said enough. Richard Langford, regional head of the Western Division, had sent down clear instructions. Scrub everything. Clean. No traces. The internal investigation was coming, and they knew it. One leaked email, and careers would collapse. But it was already too late. While Thomas ordered the purge, in a secure office across town, Madison Walker and her assistant Marcus were sitting in front of a laptop. On the screen, email after email appeared with perfect clarity. A message from Richard to Thomas. "Focus on high-potential clients. Don't waste time on browsers." An internal thread. "We've had a few Asian and Black customers asking about premium lines lately. Start with entry models first." An attached data report. "Highest conversion rates come from white customers. Keep priority policy unchanged." Marcus muttered under his breath. They really think deleting emails would make it all disappear? Madison said nothing. Her eyes scanned the screen. What was once speculation had now become undeniable proof. The truth had been documented and would soon be exposed. She stood up, her expression calm but razor-sharp. "Prepare the boardroom presentation. I want every email, every quote, every name. On the screen. No one walks away from this." Marcus nodded. Time for them to face the truth they built themselves. Outside, the showroom doors remained open. Customers came and went, smiling, browsing, sipping champagne, unaware of the reckoning drawing near, because Madison now held the most powerful weapon in any battle: the truth. That night, Olivia Torres sat alone in her small apartment, the warm glow of her desk lamp casting shadows over her tired face and sunken eyes. On her laptop screen, an email from Madison remained open. Attached were internal documents, customer classification reports, covert training guides on visual profiling, and damning emails from Richard, from Thomas, all of it exposing a system of discrimination that had quietly operated for years. She bit her lip, scrolling to the final attachment. An internal manual never made public. One line, bolded at the top, read, "Prioritize customers with the right profile. Attire, posture, body language. Avoid wasting time on difficult-to-convert cases." Olivia knew. If she sent this, there was no going back. She opened a new browser tab and typed in the name Madison had mentioned during their quiet cafe meeting. Lisa Monroe. an investigative journalist known for exposing discrimination in high-end retail. She began drafting the message. Subject: regarding discriminatory practices at Beverly Hills showroom. Lisa, I'm a former employee at the Walker and Blake Motors showroom. The documents attached speak louder than anything I could say myself. I don't need my name revealed, but if you need verification, I'm willing to meet in person. Thank you for standing on the side of truth. Olivia Torres. She hit send. In that moment, her whole body seemed to release. Fear, relief, a quiet trembling. But most of all, liberation. Just hours later, as most of America was still asleep, a bombshell story began to spread across every major social platform. Discrimination scandal at Walker and Blake Motors. Internal documents leaked. By Lisa Monroe. The Journal Observer. The article quoted an anonymous former showroom employee. It included screenshots of internal emails, training manuals, and corporate messages, all pointing to a culture of selective service based on skin tone and outward appearance. The piece asked a critical question. Can a brand once celebrated for championing diversity be hiding a discriminatory machine under its polished surface? And did CEO Madison Walker truly not know? The internet erupted. Twitter, Facebook, auto forums, even KOLs and celebrities once treated as VIPs by Walker and Blake were speaking out. Hashtag luxury but not equal began trending within just 3 hours. A comment from one user was shared tens of thousands of times. I walked into their showroom and was denied a test drive. The white man behind me got champagne and a tour. Inside a car headed to company headquarters, Madison read the article on her phone. She sat in silence for a few seconds, absorbing the wave about to hit. Her assistant, Marcus, seated beside her, glanced at the screen. "It's started," he said quietly. Madison nodded. And this time, no one gets to look away. The media firestorm had officially begun. Walker and Blake Motors was no longer the elite car brand it once was. It was now the center of a national reckoning. But for Madison, this was only the beginning, the start of the largest internal cleansing in the company's history. That morning, on the 42nd floor of Walker and Blake Motors headquarters, the boardroom was packed. Veteran board members, major investors, senior executives, all present, all silent. They didn't need an agenda to know why they'd been summoned. At the head of the long, polished table sat Madison Walker, her laptop open and ready. Sunlight poured in through the massive glass wall behind her, but not even the glow of Manhattan could soften the tension in the room. Madison took a deep breath. "I'll get straight to the point." She tapped a key. A video began playing on the wall-mounted screen. Thomas, the Beverly Hills showroom manager, was seen welcoming David Reeves, a white man, and Madison's longtime friend. He offered him champagne, walked him straight to the Bugatti Supersport, explained every feature, every stitch of leather. The same car Madison, disguised as a black customer, had been denied access to the day before. Not a word was spoken. Then Madison opened a folder of internal documents, email chains, subject line, priority client guidelines, internal only. On screen, words appeared. If the customer isn't wearing designer labels or a luxury watch, keep it basic. Black clients, guide them to mid-range models, save everyone time. Bugatti access for returning VIPs only or referred clients. She looked up at the table. This isn't a mistake. This is a system of organized discrimination, and it's destroying the values I built this company on from day one. She placed her phone on the table. This is a recording from David Williams, a customer who experienced exactly what I did, and he's not the only one. Across the room, Thomas began to sweat. He stood, trying to keep his composure. If I may clarify, those procedures were meant to identify high-potential clients. No one was being discriminated against. It's simply part of a luxury sales strategy. A board member cut him off sharply. "And you're calling the act of denying someone based on their skin color a strategy?" No one laughed. Madison stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but carved from steel. I'm not here to entertain excuses. I gave leadership every chance to handle this internally. But if the company doesn't act, firing those responsible, restructuring the system, and issuing a formal public apology, I will go public, with every file, every email, every name. I'll bring it to the press, with full documentation. Silence fell like a blade. Some glanced at each other. Men who once dismissed Madison as too soft for boardroom politics were now looking at her with new eyes. Jonathan Price, one of the most powerful voices on the board, nodded slowly. I believe it's time to vote. Right now, Madison had just played her strongest card. She was no longer the distant CEO managing numbers and branding. She was the leader, standing face to face with power to defend her customers, her company's soul, and her own name. After Madison's unflinching declaration, the boardroom fell into a breathless silence. The air felt thick. No one in the room questioned the severity anymore. Jonathan Price, a key voice on the board, was the first to speak. With the evidence presented, I'm calling for an emergency vote. He turned to Madison briefly, then swept his gaze across the room. All in favor of terminating Thomas Granger from his position as Beverly Hills showroom director, raise your hands. The first hand to go up was Clara Evans, head of PR, her expression firm. Then, one by one, more hands followed, 11 out of 15. Enough. Thomas turned pale. He jumped from his seat, his voice trembling. You can't be serious. I've been here for 7 years. I've delivered the highest revenue across all locations. Madison met his eyes, her voice cold and resolute. You generated profits by trampling on the dignity of our customers. That is not the value Walker and Blake stands for. Jonathan nodded to 2 security staff standing near the door. Please, escort Mr. Granger out. Thomas was led from the room, the door shut behind him. No one spoke in his defense. Madison took a deep breath, then turned back to face the board. Starting today, I'm taking direct control of all showroom operations. There will be no more compromises. I will form a reformation task force to audit every customer service policy, rebuild showroom leadership from the ground up, and launch a new initiative. The customer is our honor. The room stirred. Even Walter Grant, a typically cautious board member, spoke up. Madison, I haven't always agreed with your methods, but this time, you've acted like a true leader. Madison gave a slight nod. I'm not protecting this company through silence, I'm protecting it through change. Walker and Blake Motors was now entering the most radical transformation in its history. Madison wasn't just defending the brand, she was redefining its soul. Weeks after that defining boardroom vote, the atmosphere at Walker and Blake Motors headquarters had completely transformed. Gone were the meetings obsessed solely with sales numbers and marketing projections. In their place, tense but purposeful discussions about company culture, equity, and trust. At a major internal summit, Madison Walker stepped onto the stage. Behind her, the screen displayed bold letters, "A new beginning, a journey worthy of all." She scanned the room, packed with showroom directors, department heads, and senior managers from across the nation. Then she made the announcement. I'm proud to introduce our new Director of Policy and Staff Training Oversight, Olivia Torres. The room erupted into heartfelt applause. Olivia stepped forward, dressed in a light-colored blazer, exuding quiet strength and grace, but in her eyes, an unmistakable glimmer of emotion. From a frontline employee once silenced by fear, to the woman now entrusted to lead a company-wide transformation, her mission was clear, but far from easy. Redesign training programs to emphasize respectful service for every customer, implement regular audits to eliminate profiling, and launch the Fair Access Initiative, with one principle. Every customer who walks through our doors deserves to be treated like an honored guest. During the summit, Madison's voice carried unmistakable pride. Olivier isn't just brave, she's a symbol of a new generation of leadership, one rooted in fairness, empathy, and integrity. Olivia gave a small bow. Then she stepped up to the mic and spoke. her voice gentle but firm. I once stayed silent out of fear. Today, I speak for those who haven't yet had the chance to be heard. From Los Angeles to Chicago, New York to Texas, over 40 Walker and Blake showrooms began to shift. Across websites and on showroom banners, a new slogan appeared. Walker and Blake Motors, luxury cars, for every deserving human. A new journey had begun, not just for the company, but for Olivia. Once overlooked, now a force of change. Evening settled over the city. The last golden light of the day stretched across the skyscrapers of New York, shimmering through the glass panels of the top floor at Walker and Blake Motors headquarters. Madison Walker stood silently, a cold cup of tea in hand, eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Below her, the city pulsed with its usual energy, but inside her, everything was still. It felt like the end of a marathon. One run not with legs, but with heart and conviction. In just a few short weeks, she had overturned an entire system shaped by silent prejudice, faced a boardroom full of doubting eyes, and stood firm on her principles despite outside pressure. All for one belief: a person's worth is not in their skin, clothes, or posture, but in their dignity and presence. She knew there were still showrooms operating with bias, still other Olivias unsure if they could speak up, and still too many Richards defending a broken system for the sake of profit. But today, Madison had proven one thing. If you want to change an unjust system, you have to be willing to confront it head-on. She turned back to her desk, picked up a pen, and signed the first document in the Corporate Culture Reconstruction Program. A plan she and Olivia had written together. The sunset cast its final glow across the desk, illuminating a bold tagline on the cover. We don't just sell cars, we build trust. Madison's story is just one of thousands of quiet efforts for change happening every single day. We can't undo the past, but we can shape the future. Fairness doesn't happen on its own. It exists because someone had the courage to speak up, to act, to stand against what's wrong, even if they had to do it alone. If you've ever been judged by your appearance, overlooked because of where you came from, or witnessed injustice happen right in front of you, remember this: you are not alone, and you always have a choice to be the one who lights the spark of change. Thank you for listening to this story. If the message resonates with you, please leave a comment and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep following stories that truly move the heart, hit subscribe to Deep Inside HQ, because the journey to awaken a broken system always begins with one brave soul.